What Trainspotting and Blade?
Yes, I watched both the
Yes.
assignments this time.
I made notes on Trainspotting, but I didn't make notes on Blade.
I made notes
Right.
on neither of them because I am going
I
to store it
feel
on my brain.
I feel like we should start with Blade first. Because I feel like Trainspotting would be a good
Okay, let me ask you a
a good
question.
long one.
When did you watch Blade?
2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago. Logan, when did you watch it?
Half an hour ago.
I watched Blade 2 days ago. I tried to watch it 2 weeks ago, got about half an hour in, I was like, oh man, this is dated. I cannot be bothered with this, and then turned it off, and then forgot I was doing this podcast. And then we talked about it, like, oh shit, and I watched Blade. And then I watched Trainspotting.
When did you watch Trainspotting?
I watched it between 5 and 7 today. I literally came out from the gym. It's like, oh, better. Like, what shall I do? I've got some things to do. And I looked at the time and thought, how long's Trainspotting? When it's 2 hours long. I was like, oh shit, I better start watching this now. So yeah, I watched Trainspotting. I have literally finished it an hour ago. I also had to watch it while
I don't feel like you're committed to the role, Lee. I'm not going to lie.
Well, you just keep picking films that like I don't want to watch. That's not even true. I just forget, and then like I remember at the last minute, I'm like, oh shit, I better watch this shit. Can I ask a question? Who's watched the movie, and who's read the book that it was based on?
I've only watched the movie.
I read the book.
Yeah, that dork did both.
I read the book it was based on years ago. The sequel to Trainspotting is called Porno. And I read that when I was like 20. So that would be like almost 20 years ago I read that. And I still remember quite a lot of it because it was really, really good. And Trainspotting...
Did you like Porno?
Porno was great.
I think it's a hard read.
Oh, I didn't think so. Hey.
No, I've only went back to a hard read.
No, I thought it was really good. Actually, you know what? I'll as we go along, I'll process my thoughts.
We start with Trainspotting or Blade?
Blade we're starting with then, yeah?
I start Blade. Put one up if you enjoyed watching it.
I
love it.
I will answer that question in a different way. When I originally watched Blade 25 years ago, I fucking loved Blade. I thought Blade was the greatest action movie of all time. I loved Wesley Snipes. I loved the choreography. I loved the fighting. I loved the CGI. I loved everything about it. Thought it was great. When I've watched it recently, it is such a product of the decade it came out in that it's kind of almost hard to watch because it's like it screams like late 90s, early 2000s at you for so long. It becomes exhausting.
That's the joy of it. But if they remade it, it wouldn't be the same.
I feel like they would
do anything that they could, of course, but they did what they could then.
Oh yeah. Like, I'm not holding the
you have to work it out
against them, but it's like it's so glaring now because like everything can do better CGI than that now, and it's not something I usually judge things on. But you got to remember, when I first seen that shit blew me away. That looked amazing. That's like the first time you see The Matrix when it just came out. It's like, oh my god, look at bullet time. But then when you've seen bullet time 36 times after that, even the single best bullet time sequence ever is just another bullet time sequence. And right now, you can go on YouTube and watch somebody do a fight scene that looks better than the Blade stuff, but better CGI. And it's tainted it a bit, you know? And it's taken all...
This is the difference. I think it's the difference between you guys who are really into like your games and action movies and everything like that, whereas I'm not into gaming, so watching the CGI stuff, I'm not as invested in like, oh, that's really shit. I'm just like, oh, look at that, that's really cool. And in my head, I'm like, it's a 90s film or early 2000s, can't even remember when it came out. And so that's always in the back of my head whenever I watch these films. So like the other week when we watched Starship Troopers, whatever it was called. Yeah. That was an old film and very dated, and they could do it so much better nowadays, but it's still an enjoyable watch. And I think it's the same with Blade. And like they seem to renew old films a lot. Like for instance, Twisters. I watched Twister, and that's just a remake or like the next bit to it, but it's still the same film. There's not much else that they can add to it apart from the CGI shit. They're still going to be chasing the Twisters. They're still going to be like, oh no, something's gone wrong. We must get this little robot in that bit of wind. Let's do it.
Someone is now saying we need to retrieve them from the wind. Okay.
Yeah. So there's not much else you can do. And it's the same with a vampire. So what's that film with Kate Basinger? And she's a vampire hunter, or she is a vampire. I can't remember.
It's Underworld.
Yes. What did I call her? Baking sale? I just don't know what I called her.
Basinger after Kim Basinger. Passenger? Bob too was a really popular actress at one point.
They're still very dated. People still enjoy them.
I think
so.
When you get a late night film that was quite reliant on CGI, like see for example, if you go back and watch John Wick, John Wick does have CGI in it because they have to remove wires and stuff and cables, but a lot of it is just close quarter fighting or like choreography. So like it's much harder to date that movie. Whereas everything in Blade was like, this is a really cool thing. This is 1998. This is what 1998 looked like. Whereas I think they try and make things a bit more timeless now. But that's why quite often in films they wouldn't have phones if they can avoid it, because they know a phone dates it. Because whatever phone they pull out of the pocket, you'd be like, that came out 17 years ago. You know, as soon as like The Matrix, when you watch it and they've got flip phones, you're like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Phones. The fucking sentient AI.
They've still got the ringer.
Yeah. It might as well be a corded house telephone in the kitchen. You know? They've got to get to phone boxes to get out the Matrix. What? They didn't have Wi-Fi? AI. Anyway, so yeah. So there's all that kind of stuff.
Speaking of Matrix, do you know who was actually like there was like three actors who might have been played?
Lawrence Fishburne.
Lawrence Fishburne. Yep, and
Wesley Snipes. I can see the reflection in your glasses.
No, it was a rapper, no, but
Oh, Cool J was originally tapped to be him in the 90s. I read the trivia sections before I came on. But yeah, there was somebody before that as well who I can't... Oh, Richard Roundtree, who... Shaft, that is, to anyone that doesn't know who Richard Roundtree is.
Oh, right, aye.
But that was like 1992. Years later, Richard Roundtree, I think that's his name, I feel like I'm getting that wrong. Years later, the TV series, he played Blade's dad, which I thought was really fun. It was a very short-lived Blade series with a rapper guy as Blade, which was really funny because he was really short. And they tried to hide it throughout the whole thing, but he was just clearly very short. By short, I mean he's probably my height, but you know, he looked tiny next to everyone else. It's like, and almost like all the stuff was too, like they got it straight from the film set and it was too big for him. But he was a good martial artist, just like 5'3".
That was the thing I was going to say. See, in the Blade film, it still has that that classic Hong Kong kind of martial art fighting style, which it's great, isn't it?
That was a shock, and you know what made it most obvious to me is the sound effects of him hitting people. It was very much like whatcha, and are they doing the kung fu sound effects? And they were some of the serious fights. They're you Blade, man, should you be going whatcha when you hit people? Apparently, so yeah. But it was very, very.
Thank you.
Well, again, I wasn't offended by it, but I noticed it, which I don't know if you're supposed to notice sound effects to that level.
Aye. Probably not.
But Stephen Norrington, the guy that done it, I don't know if you know what else he done.
No.
He more or less ended his career when he done League of Extraordinary Gentlemen, where Sean Connery wanted to fist fight him because he hated him so much. Sean Connery, who would have been in his 70s at this point, wanted to fight the director because he hated him. So yeah.
I really like that film though.
What, League of Extraordinary Gentlemen? Interesting.
Yeah.
Famous
I know, most people don't like it, but I really enjoyed it.
I feel like it got a much worse rap than it deserved. But
yeah.
It's because was that not the film thingy? Was that not his last filming?
It was Sean Connery live action movie, and it's the movie he had two choices. It was Gandalf and Lord of the Rings, or that.
Oh, he really picked the his pick was terrible, man.
Well, apparently Sean Connery, his last few movie roles he was offered, I can't remember all of them, but one of them was The Matrix. They wanted it to be Morpheus. It might have been like the Star Wars prequels, and it was Lord of the Rings, and he picked League of Extraordinary Gentlemen out of them all.
What are the odds on that?
Can you imagine him as Morpheus? That's hilarious. But Gandalf makes it. But I mean, Gandalf would have fucked people. Like Sean Connery looked like he was going to hit somebody. So I think Gandalf just throwing the sword away and just bottling people would have been hilarious.
If it wasn't a box.
Well, obviously, yeah.
Too soon.
Yeah, he's been doing a while now, so.
Like
Everyone knows he liked to beat women. It was the 70s that they were all at it. Doesn't make it right. So. Anyway, we've veered off course. Back to Blade.
Did you enjoy the storyline of it?
No.
Still. So no?
Thought it was kind of like
pointless. What if we were to watch it's a trilogy, isn't it? So what if you were to watch the next two and see the difference in technology? Because obviously the third one's a lot more modern. Still not as modern, but a lot more modern than the first one.
What was the film you had a problem with the director? Was that the third film or was that the second film?
The second one is the one that Matt Goss, or Luke Goss from Bros, is the baddie. He's like vampire. One of the Goss brothers. And the third one has got Triple H in it. Got Dominic Purcell, who plays Drake. The second one also has an early appearance from boy from
Reynolds.
Right,
Daryl.
Daryl. I'm trying to remember the fucking actor's name, but it's gone out of my head.
Norman Reedus.
Reese. No, Norman Reedus. Beautiful man.
The problem I have with the second movie, and again, I prefer this, from what I remember, I prefer the second one, is that they discount a lot of stuff they learn in the first one. And one of the big reviews in the second one is they get this liquid that can kill things, and it's literally the thing he used to kill the blood god, and you're like, because in the commentary, which I listened to, Wesley Snipes talks about it. He's like, yeah, there's like a load of continuity errors that we just kind of ignored. And also, one of the actors in the second movie, I think he's one of the band, like the Blood Pack, is an actor that is in the first movie and is killed in the first movie. And he didn't tell anyone he was in the first movie until after he'd been hired and he started shooting. He's like, by the way, that's in the first one. And they're like, what? But what had happened is he grew up like a beard and like put on like 20 pounds of muscle, so he looked like badass and scary. And the first one was just the scene you saw is he's the guy that holds the sword, like, I got his pig sticker, man, and his hand gets blown away. That guy is in the second one as like a kind of main villain, and just thought, I'm not telling anyone I was in it in case they fire me, which I thought was great.
Yeah, fair enough. I do the same.
There's another story like that, and I can't remember what it was. Oh, what was it? Oh no, it was young Sheldon. See the dad?
Yeah, the dad who played.
Yes, he's a bully in Sheldon.
He's Sheldon bullying the Big Bang Theory, which
I hate that because I love him as his dad.
Like, there's a lot of job in actors in it. Like, a lot of actors are going to cross it. Like, it's fine. We can accept. I was going to say we can accept actors in different role, unless you're Black Panther, obviously, in which case that's a no-go. But whatever. Controversial.
It's alright, Robert Downey Jr. can date now since he's
apparently, we can play them all, yes.
I'm just gonna see Tony Stark every time. I can't. He is
2 minutes.
I don't know. I mean, the whole we'll do that in our chat session, guys, because that's like I have things to say. But yeah, so back to the Blade stuff. How did you feel about Deacon Frost, the baddie, played by Stephen Dorff?
I wanted my son to be called Deacon.
Did you? Because of Deacon Frost.
Yeah, but not after him.
Oh.
Not after this awful man. I think Stephen Dorff makes a capable bad guy, but I feel like he should be like the main bad guy's kind of toady. Like, I don't feel he gives off like bad energy. I feel like like as soon as obviously he hid from Blade most of the movie because he knew Blade would just immediately kill him, which I thought was quite funny.
Mm-hmm.
And then when he turns up as the Blood God, you're like, okay, you might be able to take him now. But yeah.
So you know how when they make films and they sort of project how much it's going to earn, and then there's films that just obliterate it in a good way, and then there's films that obliterate it in a bad way. What was the predicted worth of Blade? So was it made really on a budget because it was a proper gamble, or was it made on a budget in the thoughts of it being a good film?
It was part of a dying kind of class of films now. There's no really such a thing as like the mid-range action movie anymore. It's had like a low budget shot like in a soundstage in like fucking the Philippines, or it's like an $180 million movie. But this is back in the 90s when you could make movies for. I want to say its budget was 60 million. Let me just check. I literally looked at this earlier on, but it was more or less.
I don't think it hit his mark. I can't see that hit his mark.
It was a hit. It was considered a hit at the time. Yeah, absolutely. I did check this earlier on because I thought somebody might ask.
Oh.
Let's see if I can find it. Blade. No, that can't be.
Me being predictable. That's unusual.
Do you know what was the thing? Blade did kind of go well, and it kind of did expand that character to comics and games and that as the costume.
Yeah, well, it was.
Yeah.
Again, they had that everything's black, everything's leather look to it, but that was so popular. Right, budget 45 million in 1998 money, and it made 131 million. It was seen as a hit, and it was seen as one of the first profitable Marvel movies. It was also Marvel made $25,000 off licensing Blade. That's all they made. But this is like this.
Oh my god!
They basically said that X-Men wouldn't have happened if this hadn't made any money. So like, although this was like not a mega bucks earner, this was the thing that basically seen that okay, superhero movies can make money, and then because of this, X-Men got greenlit, and then because it was more family friendly, it done fucking big money. But it was kind of regarded as a hit, and it never managed to like. Blade 2 was kind of like again about the same money. It made about the same money, and then Blade 3 they fucked it, and everyone hated it. But you know, these things happen. But
no, the one we kind of touch on detail is I don't know if you remember. See the scene where it's the house, basically the guild of vampires are just sitting on the seats. Did you know I see the background of the seat was like the Dracula cowl? So like it was like triangular, like that, like up that wide and down. It was like Dracula's iconic cape, which I thought was a cool nod to also Dracula.
That makes sense.
That is cool. I didn't notice, but yeah, that's cool.
I think it's one of those things that your brain would be register it, but like you would notice it, but your brain would be like, yeah, that's Dracula guy, right?
Yeah, you need to be a bit less artistic, you know.
Yeah. Because they lean a lot heavily into the kind of the Western like Bram Stoker stuff in the second one, because you get a load of vampires that are like really, really old, which they don't really touch in the first one. There's all these pureblood vampires, but I guess they're all like American vampires, so they're like considered new vampires. Whereas the one that came from like Europe are much, much older. It looked like fucking Nosferatu's and all that.
I mean, it makes a lot of sense.
Fingers, which but yeah. Another fun fact I found out about Blade is that see the sword, the titanium.
Yeah.
Apparently, titanium makes really shitty swords. Titanium actually would blunt really easy, so just like whacking people with a crowbar like really quickly. Which I thought, I mean, that sounds worse to be honest. Like it's just a crowbar.
Yeah.
But yeah, they don't stay sharp. It would have to be made with something else. So there's a thing. So the weaponry wasn't realistic.
Oh dear.
Yeah, so there you go.
Because the rubber swords that they used in Game of Thrones really were amazing.
Most of the time, they did for some scenes. They did, yeah, but you're right. Sometimes you can see his sword wobbling. It's such a dangerous, Sally. You can just be waving your sword around. So that was a thing. What is it? To have any more? There's so many facts about it that most of them were like.
It was definitely inspired by Batman.
Oh,
like
taking a lot of
scene. Specifically see the scene when he obviously kills all the vampires and all the posters show up and he just disappears like Batman. That's a lot of going on.
Yeah.
With DC and Marvel, they're going to take stuff from everything. So I mean, Blade is like going to take a lot of stylized ideas from like the darker iterations of Batman. That all makes complete sense. Also, Abraham Whistler, Chris Christopherson, he was a invention for a cartoon. It was the Batman animated series. Apparently, in the original comics, Blade's mentor was like a kind of old jazz musician, like a black fella, and they changed it to elderly white guy because apparently that tracks better. Oh, I don't know what to say about that, but okay. But he was created for a TV show, the Batman animated series, and Marvel liked him so much they just put him in the comics and then just put him in the film because they liked him better. And also, it's Chris Christopherson, for God's sake, he's fucking awesome.
He is. I love him.
He's in a bad time. Oh fuck! That's probably my favourite scene in the movie. Is when he just walks in and does that. Like having your dad turn up and just beat the shit out of everyone. And he just leaves.
Yeah, but he's so nice to the girl as well. Like, he's not a dick to her. Whereas I think Blade is quite dickish.
Yeah. But again, that was like a tough guy back in the late 90s movie. That's what tough guys act like. They're kind of like, aloof. Also, he's quite busy killing vampires most of the day, so he's probably quite grumpy. Always wanting to drink.
No, when does he sleep? Because he's awake in the day and he's awake at night. When the fuck does he sleep?
He never sleeps.
I'd be grumpy.
Would be grumpy. Also, he's got.
I'd be grumpy.
He wants to drink blood all the time as well and can't. It's like if someone had a donut right there and it just floated along beside you and you weren't allowed to eat it. It looked really good.
I love a donut.
Exactly. Imagine you can't ever eat this donut or you'll be evil. It's like, oh man.
Oh my god, it would make you want it more, wouldn't it?
Yeah. The delicious donut of evil.
Do you know they were meant to set up Morbius for that, but obviously they couldn't.
Yes, they did. Steve Norrington, he played Morbius. There's some different endings of Blade. There's like a post-apocalyptic ending or an apocalypse ending, and then the one we got, and then like a couple other ones. But all the endings were really downbeat, apart from that one that they ended up using, because they're going to have that the Blood God didn't actually matter. The Blood God was just like a spell, and as soon as you done it, it just turned everyone in the world into vampires. And I was like, but like that's maybe quite hard to do a sequel to, so we don't want to use that one. But yeah, Morbius was meant to be, he was used in that one, but then didn't want to use him. Oh, and Wesley Snipes only done this movie because he tried to do Black Panther a few years earlier, and Marvel had said no.
Huh.
So yeah.
I was thought it just like Blade. I thought because I thought it was because he was real into like the behind the scenes because he was doing a lot of the choreography and all sort of stuff, wasn't he?
He was quite involved in the choreography and that, but yeah, that was his first choice was Black Panther. But that kind of tracks as well. Like Black Panther's like king of an African country, and like whatever you read about Wesley Snipes, he seems to be that kind of. You see it quite grandiose. It's like Blade literally mugs people for their money and then uses that money to fight vampires. He only mugs thralls, as far as we can tell. But he just robbed their house.
If Wesley Snipes did a Black Panther film, it would be like Coming to America. That's all I've got to say.
Oh, I don't know. I really can't.
I mean, never what.
It's I don't know.
It wouldn't work now. He's too old.
Yeah, they had to be Wesley.
Back in the day.
I don't know. I don't know what a mid-90s Black Panther movie would have looked like. I don't know if it would have done any numbers at all because because it's like the kind of film they wouldn't market just through sheer racism. They just wouldn't market that. They're like, who's going to watch this movie? Black people? We don't want their money. It's like, the fuck? So like they weren't allowed. Like the fact that Blade got made him successful, like, oh, that doesn't seem right. There needs to be more white. Oh, there was brief talk of changing Blade to a white guy when the movie was first in production. Like New Line asked if they could do that, and everyone was like, no, that's a bad idea. Don't do that. That's like the worst thing you could possibly do. But of course they did. It was the 90s, like.
So I know what they kind of done with Nick Fury, but the opposite.
Well, actually, the reason the Nick Fury thing happened, Logan, I'll have you know, is that the Ultimate Marvels, there's the original Nick Fury from the mainstream universe, which is the white guy who was played by David Hasselhoff in the one time. And then in the Ultimates, they wanted to make him kind of cooler and edgier, so they basically just drew Samuel L. Jackson as Nick Fury. And then years later, they went, oh, we can just hire Samuel L. Jackson. Let's just use him instead. But yeah, that happened because Marvel had kind of already done it, and they'd referenced it in the comics when they'd asked him who'd play him in a movie. They'd be like, well, Samuel L. Jackson, obviously. And that's how that all happened.
I can't kill it.
Yeah, well, you gotta remember the comics have been around for ages, and they've had so many writers and so many things have happened in them. People have thought of all this stuff for a long, long time. It's also why the fans get so mad. But yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else.
See during that time in Blade, see if they ever had an extra. Let's say they had a cameo, a certain Marvel character. Who do you think would work in the Blade, like in a Blade film?
Punisher or Daredevil.
Really?
Who'd you like to have seen?
Was it?
Well, I say Punisher, because Punisher would have no qualms with killing vampires. He'd be like, yeah, of course, and immediately just start, like, using fucking nukes on them. No second thought. Daredevil, because he's a Catholic, and he'd be all pissed off at these guys that were, like, devils, basically. And Spider-Man's nice, so he wouldn't want to kill the vampires.
I feel like Captain America would want to try and make them work for the government.
I think he would try and capture them and kill them. He wouldn't be like, let's just cut their heads off.
Yeah. Is Hellboy Marvel?
He is Black.
No, it's Dark Horse.
But yeah, I'm sure he would fight vampires, but yeah, not those ones.
That would be cool though. I would say Ghost Rider. I think that would have been such a
would have made
cool.
absolute sense. Yeah, that's a great idea.
Would be a cool one.
He'd have no
Some
qualms.
vampires in Ghost Rider.
In Ghost Rider 1, they did not have vampires. They might have had like ghoulish creatures, but I don't think there was any
ghouls,
vampires. They weren't like
maybe.
vampires. They're just like, we are demons or whatever.
Yeah.
Like the Marvel Universe is weird. They've got all these different lores stacked on top of each other. And you're like, that's weird that they don't interact in any way. You'd think like if we've got ghoulish hell fiends and vampires, that they would have something to say to each other, even if it was just like, don't come round here. Like, how many...
You know who I would love?
Sorry, don't you go, Sal.
Constantine. Constantine would think it.
Constantine, I'm sure. Constantine's DC, just to throw that one in there.
Yes, they're making it. Yes, and it's Keanu Reeves as well.
Yeah.
I love that film. It's brilliant. But I think that Deadpool would have been good with Blade. That would have been quite funny to watch them interact.
There was a comic of that, and I have read it, and it is they're actually just fighting vampires, and I think it's Morbius they're going after. I'm sure, which is it's a good comic.
Sounds like it'd be good.
You've got loads of things with the. I mean, again, the good thing about killing vampires is you can have your heroic characters kill vampires, and no one has to feel bad about it. Like, if you did have like Captain America just decapitating vampires, like, oh well, these are like vampires, I've got to kill them. It's like killing robots. Like they can't be cured, so we just kill them. So it's like when we need a baddie that we can wail on and not like feel guilty. But I guess you'd have to have a kind of similar powers because there's lots of superpower. Like if Captain
Red Witch would be quite good. Scarlet Witch.
She's super powerful though, so it's like she could be like, cool, you vampires. Here's just fake sun.
Mind control.
Die. Or she's got something. You got Doctor Strange turn up and he's doing karate. You're like, why are you doing karate? You're magic. Like, stop doing karate. Just fucking blast them with fucking lasers from your eyes. Yes.
No, Romanoff and Blade. They'd be a good match.
Yeah. I mean, that's British.
Yeah. Scarlett Johansson.
Scarlett Johansson.
Oh, Black
Widow was what I was trying to say, but I kept saying Scarlett because that's her name. Her and Hawkeye turn up and Blade's like, what the fuck? You sent me the two humans that they could eat? I'm like, yeah, why didn't you send me the Hulk? He'd be really useful. Just splatting vampires left and right.
Man.
Yeah. There's all kinds of good stuff. Again, well, we'll get to find out because we are due a Blade movie.
Is that still happening though?
It is meant to still be happening. It keeps getting pushed further and further back because they've had such a troubled production. I think they've been through like 3 directors by this point. But we might still get it. And we've got like all
There's
these,
only
like,
one Blade.
No, that's unfair. He was a good Blade, but now he's going to pass the torch because he's old. Also the thing with the new Marvel stuff is that they're giving us a lot of these lower tier heroes we've never heard of. So we've got Blade, and we've got Black Knight is coming as well, and Black Knight is played by Jon Snow. So that's just going to be Jon Snow in armor with a sword, hanging out with Blade. I'm like, the fuck is going on here? Like, is he going to be wearing like an armor? Like...
Rocket versus vampires.
I feel like he'd beat them really easily. Like,
yeah. He could like confuse them. You need his teeth. Go get him.
I feel like Rocket would also just be like, yo, what do they like? Garlic and sun? Okay, give me 2 seconds. Just makes a gun that shoots garlic and sun from it. Like, yeah, I'll kill these guys real easy.
Garlic cannon.
Yeah.
I am Groot.
So what we're rating Blade?
Okay, well, early 2000s Lee would have rated it 10 out of 10. 2024 Lee.
It's the late 90s.
Well, late 90s is late 90s Lee votes at 10 out of 10. 2024 Lee votes at 5 out of 10.
I think it's a solid 8. 7.58.
I rate it a 4.
But you?
Oh, alright. I like the costume.
Yep, costume is good.
Is this the first time you've... How old were you when you first watched it?
You.
You?
Oh, like about 5 or something?
It was classed as a horror film, I think, when it first came out. So I think the age rating was quite high.
It was an 18.
Who gives a shit?
18 when it came out.
That was an 18. It was more like an action flick.
Again, a lot of death in it though, and like a human gets fucking his neck exploded at one point. So like this human's dying. See, as soon as a person dies in the movie and it's like a gory death, then it, that's a big deal. So it goes.
We should do a chat on age ratings for films because they've changed so dramatically through the years. I think it would be quite an interesting chat. Not tonight, but I think we should put it on the cards.
There's a lot to say about it. I always remember when I discovered what a PG was, because PG only exists because of Indiana Jones, which is great. Well, I'm not going to tonight, but you can look that up yourselves. And the 12 kind of came into effect later on. But I thought at the cinema I could take my kid with me and they could watch a 15, but they can't. It's 15 or older, regardless of it. It literally states it on when you go to the cinema. It must tell you because too many people thought you could just take anyone you wanted. But no. 12. If they're under 12, then they can be accompanied by a parent or guardian, and they'll be like, okay, this is fine. But once it hits 15, you've got to be 15 to see them titties. There you go. That's all I've got to say about Blade and age.
Yeah.
The one wee thing, I completely forgot to find me was in this. See the guy who plays Harvey Block in Gotham.
Oh, Donald Logal, something like that. Donald Logal, or that guy. Yeah, he's great.
Aye, because he kind of gets crucified, which is still fucking funny as fucking off.
That is crucified set on fire. Well, fun thing about him, which I did learn today, is he was only meant to be in that beginning sequence and was meant to die straight away. But when he was on set, he was so funny that the director liked him and just like wrote him back into the movie. He's like, fuck it, yeah, I like you. So he got to be that whole film just because he was pleasant to work with on set, unlike, everyone else.
They made a good move on that.
Yeah, it was really smart. Well, the funniest thing about him though was like Blade obviously kept not killing him the whole movie, and at the end he literally kills him with a bit of wire. Like the first thing, he runs up to him and Blade literally holds out this wire, takes his head clean off, and that is him dead. So this whole time, through the movie, Blade's just been fucking with him. It's like, we're fighting. Sword that off. It's like, no, I could literally killed you with a bit of string at any point, which I thought was funny. Okay, that's our final thought on Blade then, yeah.
Aye.
I think so.
Cool. Okay, T2.
I have questions.
No, it's T1. We ain't watching T2.
Hold on. Was it Trainspotting 1 we were supposed to watch?
Wait, did you watch?
Yes.
I watched Trainspotting 2.
Why the fuck would you watch Trainspotting 2?
So I've never seen that one, so I thought I started to watch it.
Oh, Trainspotting 1.
No, 1.
Oh well, okay, I didn't watch Trainspotting 1, guys. I watched Trainspotting 2. Even though we've talked about this several times, I forgot that. That's
Oh, for God's sake, Lee.
Well, I guess I didn't do the work this time, guys, because I didn't watch the first Trainspotting. Why didn't I watch the first Trainspotting?
I'm glad it's not me. I'm glad it's not me this time. Okay. Because do you remember when you said, "Oh, if you watch the first one, then we can go watch the second one"?
Nope.
Next episode.
No memory of that whatsoever.
Sally, do you remember this?
Sally obviously remembers it because she said no, Trainspotting 1. I was like, fuck. It's okay, I've seen the movie and remember bits of it.
One kind of texts in the Twitch chat, so she's privately messaged me, and she was saying Trainspotting 2 is funny as fuck. Is it fuck? Rest my case.
Unfair. I have stuff to say about that movie, but I'll save it. Go on then, talk about Trainspotting.
So does everybody know what Trainspotting is about?
Yes.
Do you know
No,
why?
it's a very old film.
Do you know why you got the name?
Yes, because I have the original book as well.
Just curious. I'm just listening. You.
There was one
about
trains
tell me, Ben.
in the film.
It's actually on Trainspotting 2 as well.
They actually add that specific scene in Trainspotting 2 because it was cut from Trainspotting 1, and it goes a bit on Begbie's character. It actually gives you the one nice scene you get with Begbie in the second movie is a direct result of that scene that was cut from the first movie. Anyway, continue.
So go on. What?
What do you want me to say about that? You've watched it. I didn't. You talk.
No, I'm talking about that scene. Like,
you're talking specifically that scene. Okay, right. So what happens in the scene? You've got Renton, you've got Spud, and you've got Begbie, and they go to this old dilapidated train station and just go to the toilet for a pish. And they're approached by this like stinking old Jakey wino. It's like, "Alright, boys, what you up to? You stayed about a train spot," and he's like just this horrible old bastard that don't want anything to do with. And then Spud realises halfway through the conversation, because Begbie would usually have chased off a wino in a second or gave him a kicking or something. Begbie didn't say anything. Begbie was just like quiet on the pitch and didn't say a word. And as they're walking away, Spud realised that was Begbie's dad. And it's like that's kind of where all Begbie's rage comes from, and all his kind of like insecurities come from the fact that his dad is this horrible old wino bastard, which is why he's got to be a tough guy all the time, because he'd obviously like abused him when he was younger, and that's why Begbie's got to be fucking crazy all the time in case people try to slag him because he's not going to end up like his dad. But then during the same movie, he comes to realise that he's became like the opposite of his dad, and he's equally as embarrassing to his son because he's a fucking maniac. And that's like the one nice scene you get with Begbie in the second. He goes and he apologises to his son and his wife, or his ex-wife, and just like says that I'm not going to be part of your lives anymore because he was an old wino, but I'm not any better. And he leaves and doesn't come back. And that's like it's really touching scene. Like I was like felt choked up on that when I watched. I was like, oh, so there is like a decent human buried deep within Begbie, but it's all these layers of maniac, and he can't ever show that kind of weakness. So it was sweet.
But your dad's a nice man.
My dad's a lovely man. My dad looks a bit like Begbie when he was younger. Actually, that was my dad's nickname. But he was never like stabbing.
No.
Modern folk. To be fair, she does kind of look a bit like Robert Carlyle to this day. But I'd rather he got called Carlyle, not Begbie, to be honest, because Begbie's a bit like he's mental. But yeah, that's why it's called Trainspotting. Is that what you're looking for, Logan? Is that what you wanted?
I'm just, I had to be asked.
Aye.
Since you've read the books.
I didn't read the book.
Well, I would say that
this is a podcast about movies, not books.
The second Trainspotting book was really, really good. It was just they've taken a couple elements from it. The one I want to talk about the 1690 part of it because that was really funny.
You mean the Proddy scene? I love that scene.
There's two bits that are really funny in it, and they sneak into like a Rangers bar, basically to rob all the guys' wallets and get because they correctly deduce that half these guys will have changed their PIN number to 1690. So so if we just take all their credit cards, we can just go to the local cash machines and just empty them. Some of them, at least half of them, will have done this, and they get a load of money. But they get cornered as they're leaving the bar, and the guy's like, "So, you lads, we don't know you. You got a song for us?" And they have to go up on stage and improv an anti-Catholic song on stage, and it's just really funny. And he has to, and there are no more Catholics anymore, and you're like, "What the fuck?" And then they all join in, and you're like, "Oh shit." But it was like almost like I can imagine that happening, like them getting away with that, because that's the kind of things that a proddy bar, a Rangers bar would fucking love. Somebody called just says, "I never know Catholics that day."
It got complaints. Some Rangers fans complained about the 1690. Like, every Rangers supporter's got that as a bank number.
It's like, I guarantee.
And I thought it was kind of funny. Oh, 100%.
I would also argue a percentage of Celtic fans have got 1888 as theirs as well, because of course they do.
Fuck the Fenian battle, but still.
Hey, language. Don't say fuck in this podcast.
Say cunt though.
It was more the racial slur. It was more the sectarian word that he used.
It's not racist. You know what it is.
Hold on, we literally might get cancelled for that, so calm yourself, boy.
We can cancel that one. Right.
Okay, so Trainspotting 1. There's my review of Trainspotting 2, the film I watched.
So Sally, I'll start after you, okay, Joe.
I've done the assignment.
So hangry. Right. So I watched this not last night, the night before. And I sat there and I've watched it before, but I think because now I'm like grown up and also the industry in which I work in, I'm like watching this and I'm like, fuck. This is how people live. And it's not that much exaggerated. And it's sad. And I think the worst part for me is the baby. The baby just like milling all around them when they're all fucked out their tree. Oh, yeah. And I'm just like, that poor baby. Oh my God, I want to go rescue it. And then obviously the baby dies. That baby had been dead a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What happened to the baby? Like, there's no explanation. Was it cut death? Was it drug related? Was it?
I always assumed it was a combination of neglect or caught death, because just the way it was. And again, it was deliberately left because they could have been wasted for days, and that Wayne could have just starved to death. Like, it was deliberately left. It's like, because the woman's obviously heartbroken when she comes round, but like, you know, she also was choosing to mainline heroin in her living room when her baby's in another room, and they could be out the count for like, you know, she could get up and go again, but then just be out the count for like, you know, a day, 2 days. Babies don't last that long without food, so you know, and a combination of maybe only getting fed sporadically, it just weakened it, and then it was sad as fuck. But yeah, I mean, again, based on the industry that similarly myself we work in, not live in, we speak to people and they have stories that are like this or worse, and you're like, yeah.
It's just such a circle of life. These people, and I think that's the saddest thing.
Yeah, like, watch that as a documentary. I mean, like, not Ian Rankin. What's the boy Rankin that done the Trainspotting movies? Is it Ian Rankin?
Oh, Danny Boyle?
No, he's the director. No, the guy that wrote the books.
Oh, Irvin Welsh?
Irvin Welsh, thank you. Ian Rankin's the sci-fi author. Irvin Welsh, I think he was a junkie, so I think he kind of like, at very least, kind of experienced this to a certain degree.
Right.
But yeah, it's horrifying. I used to work, I can't obviously watch what I say here because obviously I can't talk about people, but I worked with a person and he reminded me a lot of Spud. Like, he was very funny, and like, you would mention anything and he would have a story that kind of tied into that, but like the story would be meant like, so one time I stole this bus. And you're like, what? But it's like, no, that's not the story. No, I stole the bus to get to this party. And you're like, but you stole a bus. Like, when you say a bus, it's like just a double-decker bus. Like, right, but it's like, no, but I got in the bus, I abandoned the bus, and then like the bus was even part of the story. Like, to anyone else, stealing a bus was the main event. To him, that was the thing that got him to the thing that then the interesting thing happened at. No matter what you said, he would have this ridiculous story to tell you, and then it's like he would completely forget about it. but they all clearly happened because they were like there was too much not because people put too much detail in the line, but it all made sense and it all flowed properly, and he had no reason to lie.
Yeah.
But yeah, he was a great person. But he just reminded me of Spud, and then obviously at the end of the second one, Spud becomes the guy that writes the Trainspotting books. And I kind of always wish that this guy that I knew had just wrote his life down because it was fucking mental, but very entertaining. He was a nice chap. But anyway, so yeah. Sorry, not to digress.
So I think, apart from the baby dying, the saddest part of that film is when Renton gets clean, fucks off to London, and he's living a life. It might not be his best life, but he is like
He's loving it.
clean. And he's away. And then that fucking schoolgirl ruins it for him and gives fucking what's his face his address. He turns up at his door. And I'm just like, no. And then when they do the thing and he's like, I'm the only one trusted to do it. No, he's gonna like just say it's brilliant. He's gonna say it's brilliant. And I was just like, no. I was literally screaming at the TV like, no, don't do it. Don't shoot her. Save him.
Come on, McGregor, don't do the thing. What are you thinking?
Yeah. But I think watching it back now, my camera's gone all funny. Watching it back now with the way that I am with people and everything, the circle of life with that film, like the people in which you hang around with really influence you. And it's actually quite a good film, I think, for maybe 15-year-olds to watch, to be like, because Tommy, fuck, he had it made. He wasn't a smackhead, but why the fuck was he hanging around with the smackheads? I don't know. And then when that girl left him and he ended up dead, obviously, but I was just like, they dragged him down, and that's what happens when you hang around these people. It doesn't matter how good of a person they are, if they're doing shit that's going to get you into trouble, you shouldn't be hanging around with them. And it's sad that his little story ended in such a tragic way with his little cat.
That's part of it as well, wasn't it? It's like they're trying to show you like he was the good one, he was the best one out of a lot of them, and he was the one that died first because like these scum just kind of like kept scumming along, but him just overwhelmed him. And like, I mean, again, like you said, that's true for real life as well. I mean, I wasted a good few years of my late teens, early 20s hanging out with people that just didn't do anything. And like pushing the back foot. You've got to surround you like that thing that people say. You got to surround yourself with good people.
Yeah,
make an effort. Like at least people that like do something. I think that's why it's a good idea to get people into like groups. Like see if you like a rock climbing group or whatever the fuck you go to. That's a good idea because that's a healthy activity, not the drug taking group. Like I know they seem cool. Right, but it's a real short step from 22-year-old good-looking doing some drugs to like 47, like bad things. Anyways.
So, do you think Renton is to blame for Tommy's death?
Aye.
Ooh.
I'll tell you why. One, if you took the fucking side for a start, right? I think that's what kind of kicked off. No way. If he didn't start that, and then he didn't like take away his blood and that, none of that would have happened.
I think it was always in the back of his head though, because everybody kept saying how much better than sex it was, and how it was like the best orgasm you ever had. So he's thinking he's missing out. So I think there was always going to be something.
At the same time, although people were saying that, he was still, although they broke up, he still wasn't going to go away and have a blood except for her. And obviously, he wasn't getting the soul. So, what was the next best thing to block that shit out? Heroin.
I mean, again, I don't think personal agency is a thing. There's healthy ways of dealing with things, and you don't have to. Like, a lot of people get by without taking heroin.
Yeah.
But again, I get it. Like you said, if you're surrounded by people that are all terrible and they're all doing this and it's making them feel better, and you're miserable, maybe you would. but I think agency is a thing that exists, and he could have.
He went like fucking ham though, didn't he? So he didn't just go like, oh, let's just smoke a bit of weed. Oh, let's give it a bit of speed.
Yeah,
he
like,
just went from nothing to fucking heroin. It's like, what? Where?
Because like he didn't know it was dangerous, and like when it's like he knew it was dangerous. Like, I'm gonna skip by the weed and the drinking, and then maybe trying some ecstasy, which was floating around at the time. No, straight to injecting heroin. It's like, holy fuck! Like, you were teetering. You really wanted that heroin. So
yeah.
No, it's his fault then. Renton's not to blame. Renton's the hero of the story, apart from Spud, obviously, who's the best character.
And my next thing is the schoolgirl.
Hold on. Spud's your character.
Spud's the main man.
Sarah, who's your character?
I like Renton because of how much he tried to get clean, and then when he stole the money at the end, and he left the little wad in the locker, I thought, oh, he's a nice one. But he did that because, like, I felt like if they'd all kept hold of that money, I've not seen the second one at all, so I don't know the next bit of this story. So I'm just talking BS right now, okay? But I felt like he stole that money to stop them from becoming the dealers. Like, it was one thing to do that one job to get that money. But after that, it's a slippery slope to go down if you're going to become a dealer.
Do you know how much money it was supposed to be?
No. I know that it was meant to be more than 16, I think they ended up with.
So no, it's 10 grand or something?
16's what they got. So he left 4,000 for Spud and he took 12 grand for himself. And when I heard those numbers, like, is that all? It's like 12 grand is what you ran away with. Like, where the fuck did you run with 12 grand? Like, once you played for
Amsterdam.
and I know that, but like, it's like, what, like, that's like what, 2 months rent and like food, and then what? You do find out what you've done in the second one, so I won't go into it. But I'm like, in my memory, it was like 100 grand or something we were getting from selling on this, but of course it wasn't, because it was 4 fucking junkies selling it to some dealers, and like, but again, it's like 12 grand. That's nothing.
Aye, but remember
it wasn't.
So like, it was the 70s, it was the 90s, but yeah, maybe it was set in the early 90s, 80s, so maybe the money would go a bit further.
But it wasn't that, because they had to put 4 grand. No, was it 6 grand in? And Renton had 2 grand, so he actually only ran away with 10 grand. It wasn't even 12, because if you take off what he'd put into the pot, so even when it was his 4 grand, it wasn't. It was only 2 grand because he had to pay back what he'd already put in. So it was a really shit deal.
For no money, and of course he stole it because the money would have been worthless anyway. So if they'd split it even, he'd have been making a 2 grand profit. So he was made a couple of months' wage at like a normal job in 1991 that happened in. But yeah, I was like, this is. I think it's because.
But the angry man wasn't going to give them it.
No, is Begbie not going to give them a penny? See, that's the way it came across. Is Begbie is it going to give them like 500 quid each and then just walk with the rest of them at most, and he probably wouldn't even give them that. He probably then came back and gave them a doon and took it off them.
He's my favourite character.
Yeah, who, Begbie?
Class.
He got his own book eventually.
He's getting his own show.
His book was called, I believe, The Knifeman, and he moves to America and becomes a sculptor, or the Bladesman. Sorry, Bladesman.
Blade artist.
Blade artist. There we go.
Aye, he's making that into a show soon.
Yeah, which I thought was great because he goes to America and like just becomes a different human being and becomes like a sculptor, and he's like, everyone talks about how good he is with the blade, and he's like, yeah, I'm really good with this. I've been like a sculptor, and then like his past hunts him down. He doesn't want to be that guy anymore. So that's really funny.
So my next question for you guys, and in the film, it shows you a number of different ways on how to get clean. Right, so you've got methadone, you've got locking them in a room, you've got just sheer willpower, whatever. What do you think's the best way to get clean?
I don't know. I'm not a junkie bastard, so I have no idea.
Getting clean. I would say, I know there's not like, from what I understand about 12-step programs, not the percentages of people that go through them and actually successfully stay off drugs is fucking tiny. So what I'm looking, when I say this, I mean least bad, by as opposed to best. But it's probably the weaning off generally. But then, if I'm talking as a mental health care worker, it's a combination of different therapies that you would use, including having like the methadone, which goes down, and then they come off. But that needs to be like joined with like a really strong support network, psychological help, psychiatric help, all this kind of other stuff, which they tend to not get all that at all.
Yeah.
Methadone also not good. So
No, methadone is a crutch. Thank you. My brain's not working. And I think a lot of the guys that end up on methadone will go back. I'm not saying all of them. I think it all depends on who you go back to. But I know one guy, young lad, must have only been about 18, 19 at the most. He lived over one side of the country, was in prison, got released to the completely opposite side of the country. 3 months later was back in the prison. And I was just like, what happened? And he was released into a rehab centre. His parents and grandparents had paid for it all and everything. And so he had a really good support network. He had people that loved him. He had all this. But I think the calling of the drugs was just too strong. And he ended up back in. But his writing, his life story was one of those that I wish he would write a book, because it's so interesting to learn, because he's come from a loving, supportive family. How could he fall that far down and not be able to get back up again with the loving and supportive family? And so his story was quite interesting to listen to. And I think a lot of the guys who are addicts need to tell their stories to help the people that are addicts or on their way, because it is such a cycle. And I think the Trainspotting film is a really good, powerful film. I think it's when he's detoxing, when his parents lock him in that room and he's detoxing, and that baby falling across the fucking ceiling, and then everybody's talking to him, and Tommy is there, and everybody's like coming at him, and it must have been like, obviously people go through this, so it must be terrifying. And I just think that if people would tell their stories, then maybe they might get through to one or two people and save a life.
I think there's certainly a place for that. It's so difficult, like you said. The drugs thing, it talks to all kind of systemic issues and that as well. It's interesting when people from a kind of good family come in, but then like usually when you kind of follow their story as well, it's like, oh, there's been some defining event that landed them in somewhere. Sometimes it's the pressure of being a good family. Like let's say your child number 3 or 4, and every other child has been super duper successful. Then you got babied. I worked with a dude that was clearly the baby of the family, so he got whatever he wanted. And so his brother and sister were very, very successful. They'd done really well. The family had money, but he just kind of got to do whatever he wanted, and it was always cute and hilarious, and it was fine. So his flat got paid for him. So he didn't do anything. And then, if you're like a kind of wealthy kind of layabout, you're going to find people that are going to leech off you. And then that fed into a lot of other stuff, and a lot of mental health problems came along because of drug use and that as well. So, like, no one's immune, but it's certainly easier to recover when you've got the support network. But again, it's not a magic wand. You've got to be prepared to put in the work. And sometimes the work is so difficult. I've worked with guys that, like, at my age, can't read or write. Can imagine how hard that is. Drugs are easy to get a hold of. Drugs cost this much. But you have to apply for a job. Here's a 7-page document full of words you don't understand and can't read anyway. Go for it. I worked with guys in this fucking late.
Nobody understands.
Speaking how when Sally said about like Trainspotting, like how it can inspire people, it actually does inspire. Like there's a book called The Young Teens. I don't know if you've seen it about. It's Graham Armstrong. So it's about basically like this wee guy who's a part of a young team in the airplay at the time. And he's basically a rehearsal, and he basically just the same way the Trainspotting is, hung about with the wrong pals and basically got himself a bit better with fucking drugs and got himself a job and that. And the guy who wrote it just watched Trainspotting, and it's like one of the best Scottish authors.
Like I says, it makes sense. It's just, I hate to even say it's a strength of character, like people don't have strength of character, because that's not true. But when you, like, the insurmountable strength of character you require to drag yourself out of a situation with no help whatsoever, like, it's beyond superhuman. It's beyond what most people could imagine. They could manage. And of course it is. Like, like, we're not all superstars, like, you're tired and you're broken and you're beaten. And, like, sometimes it's easier just to not do it anymore. Like, there's nothing wrong with being like, I just can't. So, yeah. Trainspotting, that's made me really sad. Is it good in Trainspotting what I talk about?
Yeah.
The dog that went on to be Meredith in Pixar. One that
Who's
Sally
that?
dislikes, this wee schoolgirl.
Actually, if you
No, it's... yeah.
Sally hates the only female character in the movie.
It's because she's a schoolgirl. For crying out, we know I have a problem with this because obviously Renton is in his late teens, early 20s, and then this girl's like 15, and I'm like, and then her parents are just like, oh yeah, it's fine.
Oh, I have a fun fact about the scene. When they're shagging.
No.
Do you want to say it? Sorry, you say it. Okay, yeah, you go ahead.
Is it? What was it? That she got a mom and brother on set during the sex scene. Is that?
Nope. I didn't know that at all.
What?
Okay, I'll tell you my fun fact, right? And then you do yours, right? In the American cut of Trainspotting, the American censors asked them to cut that scene because she looked like she was enjoying herself too much.
Good for her.
Which I thought was fucking hilarious. Yeah, that's like, no, she's way too into it. Like, oh yeah, she is. Anyway, can tell you. She was getting pumped. Go for it.
So during that sex scene, I guess you knew about they were filming it. So our man and brother got invited in during that scene.
Cool.
Well, it was a bit fucking.
Why that scene?
That seems weird.
Too much support.
Your mom is up with a bra and all. Like, what's he do? He's like, I don't know how I feel about this. Ewan McGregor's shagging my sister.
Was that a cult one though? Like,
I'm assuming. Her muff was out.
No, I think
bobbing about. So.
Yeah, I think if her character had been a little bit older, it wouldn't have been so bad. But the fact that she was a teen and she wasn't honest about it, because he's like sat at the table and he's like, what? Which I thought was
flatmates. No, we're her mum and dad. Like, you guys don't think this is weird that this junkie's in the house?
Yeah.
But there's a more questionable thing. It's like when the guy walks by and he's just sleeping on the couch. Like, you don't got to question that.
Well, he's not because it's not the first time it's happened.
No.
That's true, to be fair.
So yeah, that's what they're.
But fair to Renton, he was like, no, it's fucking illegal. No. Obviously, he gets over that, and then he's like, yeah, okay. But he did try.
He did no.
And it's another one of those situations where he did meet her in a club. Should have been 18 and should have been ID'd on the door.
Yeah.
But she didn't look 18.
She didn't look 18 when she was in her school uniform. She looked 18 up until that point.
Pretty sure they did the ID.
Eh?
Yeah, they did.
No, back in there. Like, see, when was that maybe set? Like 80s?
80s, Scottish.
90s. Fucking hell.
Scottish it was 80s.
Aye, so they didn't do that ID during club time?
I mean, see, ultimately, like, it was down to the bounce on the door, and see if a child walks up, he should be like, ID. Like, you do not look 18, because legally they can't drink, but I'm sure they were, again, it was maybe a bit of a shithole area they were in, maybe nobody gave a fuck.
Aye.
Again, girls can use makeup and trick them. Maybe she went in with a group, and she kind of hid it, but you don't know. Like, there's a million ways she could have gone. Her pals could have went in, opened the fire escape, and she could have nipped it. You don't know.
Actually, they did. happened here once was I'm not going to say the place, but when I turned 18, there was a big story about the wee lass. He was like 16, went in a club, and she got off with a guy. Next minute, he was getting called all this sort of stuff, and it turns out he did not know.
Yeah.
It's not the first time.
Like,
This happens all the time, though.
No, I know, but it's like still mental how that still happens to this day.
It's crazy, but and technically, legally, he's in the wrong, but also she's not blameless. It's like she tripped off the school bus, fell through a washing line, got changed and going out clothes, and then fell through the window of the club. She bears some responsibility.
Could you imagine? Yeah. Oh no, I slipped and he fell.
And here we are. So yeah. There's also.
Well, that's because you look like a middle-aged Russian when you were 18. Sorry, I had to say that.
Scott going Andrews. Yeah, Scott, you did. Yeah, you were 6'3", Scott. You were 18 stone, and you had a beard down the middle of your chest. We know you didn't really have the beard, Scott, but it's funnier to say that you did. Unless you.
I never got in anywhere. Like when I was 17, I don't think I actually got into a club until I was 18. And I remember once I was 17 and I went to my local pub, so there was no ID in on the door or anything, but they didn't ID me at the bar either. But I was with a bunch of people that were like 19, 18, 19. And I got that drunk that I turned around and goes, I'm only 17, right? I told them. Yeah.
So.
But that's just me. I'm so honest. I'm ridiculous, honestly. But yeah, I wasn't allowed back in the pub.
Not until I was 18. I never got in dinner. I always looked dead young, so it was never my thing. I did do some drinking, but it was always we'd get a hold of half bottle of vodka and then go to the park and drink it, but there was never any cool stories about going to clubs. And then when I did eventually get into clubs, it was a fucking awful experience and could have put up with them forever.
I prefer a pub over a pub.
Yeah.
Say it again, Logan?
I say they got fingered up there by a big guy.
No.
No, you enjoyed that experience.
That was fine. No, it was the... This is broadcast, so I'm not going to say what it was. But stuff happened. It was not pleasant. And I didn't like it. So...
Aww.
I was not abused in any way whatsoever. That I can confirm. However, some of the things were...
You witnessed something.
Legally sketchy stuff that I'd done. No, maybe don't.
I
was a young man. People do sketchy things when they're 22.
What about the Spuds scene?
Oh, the Starfight. Well, that was actually... There's a really funny bit in the commentary of that. So see when he's lying there on the bed... And she's the woman's kind of shat the bed on it, and the woman's cleaning up round about him. And she goes, oh yeah, and she looks at his will, and he's like, oh, I'm not missing out on much then. And in the commentary, Ewan McGregor's like, this scene's somewhat undercut by the fact that she's claiming he's got a wee bobby, but you can see he's got a fucking massive
schlong.
Because a lot of young men were like, that's a small one? Holy fuck, that's a small? Because it was, again, as the young man watched it, but it just made me laugh when Ewan McGregor was like, his penis is enormous. I don't know why they done that.
Yeah, but then in a couple of scenes later, you see Ewan McGregor's, and you size match them, and Ewan McGregor's quite small compared to it.
I didn't know that. I don't even remember that scene. It always stuck with that Ewan McGregor thinks Ewan Bremner's cock is enormous. The woman looking directly at it, having to act her socks off, being like, "Oh, look at this."
Oh, that scene where he shits the bed, and then
they try and pull it off.
Yeah.
But again, I can imagine a junkie pal telling you that story, and you'd be like, "Yeah, that happened. No qualms."
Everyone's done it.
It's weird you took the bag of shit and didn't empty it in the toilet or anything, but
Yeah.
Mattress ruined, by the way, just to clarify.
Yeah.
But anyway. Flings all over the place.
That was gross.
That was gross. See, Spud, the best, most relatable character. Who amongst us has not shat the bed at a girlfriend's house, carried it downstairs, and flung it at their family?
Do it on a regular basis, mate.
That's how we met. But yeah, Trainspotting. You guys keep going, because I haven't watched this film. I just remember stuff as you tell me.
I actually have two other facts. So, Robert Clyle was at an interview at the BAFTAs, and I talk about Bigby, and he says he played Bigby as a closeted gay man whose outbursts of violence were due to his fear of being outed. And then Alvin Welsh came out and said that is what he wrote Bigby as well in the books.
Which is weird because when he done the
makes sense.
The Blade thing, he's the man to Wayne.
Oh, I thought you were talking about the bit with the bird, the trans person. And he touches the willy and he's like, and he kicks it on that.
Don't remember that. Is that in the first one?
I remember that.
That mean you?
Yeah.
It's like,
and they're in the car.
They touch on it a lot in the second movie, and then the book porno, the book which is titled porno, not the porno of the movie. Simply sends gay porn to Begbie in prison.
Oh yeah, the start, aye.
And it's like that he's been doing it like the whole time Begbie's in prison. He's been getting stacks of gay porn and just sending it and be like, Begbie, cell block C, this is his porn. And then like sending it. It's like Begbie's absolutely furious about it, but he thinks it's been renting the whole time. They don't touch that in the movie, but I thought that was fucking hilarious. And then obviously, I don't
think he ever finds it. Does
he? He finds it in the end because after Bigby's been knocked down and he's lying in a coma. Sick Boy visits him and just tells him all the terrible shit that he's been doing.
Oh, aye, so that's when he wakes up.
And then he looks around and Bigby's just like staring at him. Just like,
aye.
Which I thought was a fucking amazing end. That's why it's such a good ending in the book. Because he's going to fucking kill you.
I'm going to have to read the books now.
Oh, the book is
so the books are
great. Maybe want to read them.
The book, it's the second movie's got nothing to do. There's a couple of scenes they've taken, but apart from that, it's completely different.
Trainspotting 2, the film was basically a mix between the modern and
it's based on. They pulled stuff out the first movie that they didn't get time to film, and then they pulled a couple of scenes out the second book, but it's nothing to do with the second book. Like,
can I just comment on Scott saying audiobook? I don't think I can read that as an audiobook with the kids around.
That's the song is wild.
Yeah. Like Spud gets up to some real shenanigans which are fucking hilarious. I'm pretty sure Spud actually sucks a guy off in the second book. No, Spud gets sucked off by a guy. That's what happens. They take some.
No, that's Brent. That's Brent.
It's Spud.
Aye,
because they pull some.
No,
it's fucking Spud that happens to. Spud gets his sucked by a guy. It's they go to the pub and they pull some kind of fat munter. And she's like, oh, I'll suck your cocks. So they go to this bit to suck their cocks. And then she shits herself. And then she's giving them like a really bad blowjob. And he's like, no, watch, this is how you do it. And he starts sucking Spud's cock. And Spud's like, I don't know what to do. So he just like lets him do it. But he's just like really weirded out by the whole situation. And then it's like, okay, I need to leave. And that's like,
what?
Yeah, that seems like, that seems like the kind of thing that would happen to a drug enthusiast. And they wouldn't know what to do.
What about the first book when Renton's just let this guy in the house?
Oh yeah, no, but
like the homeless guy.
Aye, that's.
And next minute, Renton wakes up and the guy just
wanks and
jizzes fucking smoking on him.
Aye.
Oh no!
When Renton first goes to London, he basically gets him this old gay guy that he just doesn't know who he is. And he lets him stay at his house. But basically the guy wants to wank into his face. So yeah, that's mental.
It's allowed.
Until now, that is mental. Yeah.
The ending, I don't want to say it's so fucked up. The guy gets with a lassie, and it turns out that lassie had something, and it turns out it was his pal that done something to his bud, and he's got the thing.
I don't know what you're saying. Unless we've all got AIDS now, I don't know.
I think you need to be less cryptic because I have no idea what you're going on about.
The AIDS scene at the end in the first book.
I don't really remember. It's been a long time since I read it. Like bits of it come back to me, but like it's probably been 20 years since I've read that.
It's one of the most fucked up bits of the book, I think. Reread that bit. That's something to reread.
Is that not at Tommy's funeral?
What?
At one of the guys.
Is it?
Yeah.
I don't know.
In the film, I don't know about the book.
I
can't remember.
It might have. But do you know I didn't know Tommy was the original ghost for Call of Duty?
Didn't know that.
No,
yeah, but he's in Grey's Anatomy now.
That guy went on to have a long career. He done well for himself. Yeah.
He was Poseidon in Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief.
He's done a lot. I mean, all of them, all the main actors from Trainspotting went on to do stuff.
Yeah, I was surprised at how star-studded it was.
Even Ewan Bremner,
Because
he
Robert-
went on to be successful. He's been in lots and lots of things for a long time now. He's never been like a leading man, but he's been in some big films.
Is he?
Yes.
Only Wonder Woman, I think.
Alien vs Predator, he was in that. He was in a TV show.
So he was,
numerous
aye.
TV shows, but yeah,
It
he
was.
pops up and stuff. Is he Star Wars?
Yeah.
Okay.
Ian McGregor.
No, I was talking about Ewan Bremner, not Ewan McGregor.
Oh.
Come on,
Who's
Sally.
in Star Wars?
He was Obi-Wan. But yeah, she's talking about Ewan McGregor,
No.
not Ewan Bremner.
I'm talking Bremner.
Yeah, so ma! Too many
So who
Ewans.
was in Star Wars?
He wasn't. Sally made a mistake.
Ian McGregor.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Ewan Bremner went on to have a very successful career. I mean, maybe again not a leading man, but he was doing well. He's doing all right for himself. Good for him. Good for you, Ewan McGregor. And obviously Robert Carlyle went on to be Robert Carlyle and was in stuff for a long time.
Or Monty.
So Monty,
What
famous
you call
famous
Peter
little
Mullen?
Monty, yeah. Eh?
And Peter Mullen.
Was he Mother Superior in the first movie? Is that?
He was.
That's hard to think about that.
I didn't like his character. I thought he just took advantage. Didn't like it.
There was actually a deleted scene. So after he leaves him in a taxi, he talked about the Buchanan bus station scene.
I was about the leg thing.
Yeah.
You do.
What did you say you're going to
All of it.
You do your
And you go like-
Logan. Well, I was going to say that the
Alright.
last scene was when he loses a leg from all the drug use. And
Aye.
that was it, basically, it's just like a cutaway scene of him like with just
Oh,
in a wheelchair with one leg.
Aye. Oh no, aye. No, maybe. There's another scene. He's got a sign and he's sitting at the Buchanan bus station. It's maybe the scene where they all go on the bus.
To
go to London?
claiming like a war vet or something because he's only got one leg, isn't
Aye.
it? Yeah.
There's the other scene for that. It's the deleted scene, and he just slaps Spud across the face like a belter.
Yeah.
That was funny.
Apparently, when Robert Carlyle was playing Begbie, he didn't want to go and hang out with his family because he inhabits the Begbie character and becomes mental. I'm like, I was like, fucking hell, Robert Carlyle, just stop acting, right? Like, you don't have to be Begbie when you go home and start beating the shit out your veins in that. But I guess that was part of his process. Fucking
I've just remembered that bit in the film when the baby dies and they're like, oh yeah, we don't know who the dad is. And I'm just there like going, oh, so she slept with like all of them. Fuck. And it ends up being Sick Boy's baby, doesn't it?
I was going to say,
Johnny.
you're going to say Wessex Boys.
They say we don't know who it is, but Johnny Miller's like the one that stands there and he's like clearly grieving the most.
Yeah.
Aye, because he shouts at Ewan McGregor. It's like,
Yeah.
fucking do something.
Yeah.
That's actually a weird thing they do in the second book. Is like the second film. Is that Sick Boy's not as evil as he is in the books? Because in the books he's a horrible cunt.
Oh, he's really bad, aye.
Like he's fucking like everything he does is like calculated and like kind of like sociopath behavior. And in the film he's just more like a pal that you scorned, and he's kind of like a bit of a dick, but like he does a couple of good things as well, which I thought was weird. I was like, oh, it's weird that they kind of toned him down. But I guess they couldn't have him be evil and have Begbie be also evil, because it's like, well, we just want them to fight each other. But yeah, I just tried to throw that one in.
Yeah. I think Trainspotting is a good film, even now, even though it was made in the 80s.
I think it's the best.
I think it's still relevant.
Any part of it. I think that's a big film you run into when you watch, especially English movies about like kind of like gangster lifestyles or hood like low poverty backgrounds. When they get into crime, it becomes really glamorous. It's like, they're always driving Beamers and they're always like dressed in dead nice clothes, and then they'll show you the violence. But even the violence is kind of cool. Like all the violence in this movie is just people getting glassed and just going down immediately and then just being horribly injured. and like they live in shit flats. Like they don't have like everything. Like the wallpaper's hanging off, the carpet is minging, there's rubbish everywhere.
That's it. When you first meet Tommy in his house, his flat is all kitted out and nice and everything, and then he goes back to him and he's just a mattress on the floor with the wallpaper or bongs everywhere and all that. And I'm just like, oh, poor kid.
Yeah.
Oh, I know we're not doing Trainspotting 2, but see that scene? It's in Spud's flat, and it cuts to the fucking rooftop. And it's just the body falling.
Yeah, that was good. That.
Don't spoil it. Oh man, what a scene that is!
Oh, it stand out. Like, when that, I was like, that looks cool. And like, yeah, they do lots of good stuff. It's a good movie. Again, I wish I had read the book before I seen the movie, because I keep making comparisons and it's not fair. But like, if you're going to watch, I'd say watch the movie then read the book, because the book is a different way and the book is better.
I think that's the problem why I couldn't really read the book because I seen the film first. Like Trainspotting 1, that's completely different to the book.
Yeah.
But when Porno, I think it was hard to read. It's like it's the same. It's definitely like Sick Boy stuff with the bar and what he's up to.
He's literally got his whole own thing going on with these other people. Like in T2 for Sick Boy's kind of been stalled, waiting on Renton coming back for 20 years, whereas in the book, Renton, like Sick Boy just went and done his whole own thing. He's got all this other stuff going on that Renton's not really part of. But yeah, again, you didn't watch that. But see, well, Logan's saying do the opposite, Sally. So pick what you want. I'm saying watch the movie, then read the book, and Logan's saying do the opposite. So I don't know which one of those you want to do. We disagree fundamentally.
I'll probably watch this film because it'll be quicker than reading the book. But I do want to read the book.
You've got to read Sky Boys, which is before Trainspotting.
I know.
Fuck.
I remember the book does have the word porno written on the front of it when you buy it, so maybe get the digital copy.
I can't read digital copies. I hate reading digital.
Yeah, I like reading a book.
I can do.
Yeah. I'll get it from the library.
I'd like a porno, please. What? I mean, the book porno. Like, what?
Wonder if I could get it from the works library.
It's got a very extensive porno section.
I think they've renamed it Trainspotting 2 anyway. You know, people like not buying it.
I remember when I bought it at work, people were like, "What have you bought there, Liam?" I'm like, it's a book about a thing, and it just happens to be the name. But yeah, I did get slagged thoroughly.
I gave a lassie from my work a read it, and she's not read it yet because she reads books in public and it says porno right on the spine. It's like, yeah, I can't read this. I'm like, fucking
put a book on it.
I would. I wouldn't care. I've read some dodgy books out.
That'd be funny.
If you know, you know. And I don't care.
Right, Scott has since informed us that the movie was set during the 90s and the book was set during the 80s. So it doesn't. Yeah, so yeah. So I guess any of our confusion people is okay.
I've got an alternative fact, by the way. Oasis were originally meant to write the music for Trainspotting, but because Noel Gallagher said no, because he actually thought it was a film about trains. And he actually regretted it because he talked about it on Hot Ones. He's like, why didn't anyone tell me it was fucking about heroin and all this? Which I thought was funny.
That would have been good. I think they would have made quite a good soundtrack.
I think it's better with Iggy Pop. Because like in the books they mentioned Iggy Pop, so I thought, well, yeah, better.
The reason that they got Iggy Pop in that, because I have a fun fact about this, is that it was a low-budget film 4 movie, so they didn't have a lot of money, especially for music and stuff, because that's very, very expensive to license these songs. However, David Bowie, who is also mentioned by Rent in the books, was friends with Danny Boyle in kind of sidelong way. He liked Shallow Grave, so he'd enjoyed the movie Shallow Grave and had contacted Danny to talk to him about it. So then later on, Danny Boyle contacted David Bowie. He's like, here's the films. Do you know these musicians? And he's like, yeah, I know Iggy Pop. Yeah, I know fucking Lou Reed. I can speak to them and get you them for cheaper. Of course, I'm fucking David Bowie. And then he got those songs for cheap, which I thought was fucking amazing. Like, I just happen to know David Bowie. Hey, man. Yes, of course I can.
My other fact. So see how it's set in Edinburgh. So see the first film. That was 90% of that is filmed in Glasgow,
I did hear
which
that.
I find funny.
Apparently, when they're running down the street, that's like a very famous street or something. So anyone from Glasgow will be like, I know where that is.
No, that's Edinburgh.
Yeah.
Edinburgh? Okay, but that must be the Edinburgh people.
It's Edinburgh, yeah. I think there's a plaque or something, isn't there?
No.
Is it not?
No?
No, there's not none that I've seen. Because obviously Lee, who knows Nostalgia, we done a lot of film location stuff. Because he's got Instagram, does film location stuff, obviously. He done a majority of Trainspotting, so he came down Glasgow. And see the amount of stuff it's literally ruined mad. It's unbelievable. I was like, I never knew this was filmed for Trainspotting.
Makes sense.
So,
I mean, again, it's like you need a rundown shithole. You go to Glasgow.
Pretty much. Because the scene where Bigby has a knife and he's an English guy and he spills the beer on him.
Yeah.
That's literally just a stereotype pub in the town. And I'm like, this is in London. It's literally ruined my bit. What the fuck? Even the I know.
I was gonna say Scott has been to the Bigby pub where he flings the glass behind him and like glasses some women.
That's maybe like is it Bolt Shields? Bolt Shields? I think it's somewhere up there. Even the cafe scene where they're drinking the milkshake. Apparently that's still all the same.
Wow.
But I think Trainspotting 2 is all set in Edinburgh, except for the Sick Boys pub, which is just up. I think it's up Postal Way, I'm sure.
I know they say it's Leith that it's all done in, but yeah, again, it's rundown area in Scotland tend to look alike, and probably just some are easier to film in, I suppose, or we'd have to go as far. Like, who's going to know the difference between a street and a scheme in Edinburgh, and a street and a scheme in Glasgow? They're going to look exactly the fucking same. It's pretty cool. So yeah, the bit I obviously remember completely wrong is that is a famous street in Edinburgh. That's the one shot they got that everyone will know that's in Edinburgh. So that's cool. And then we can just fake the rest of it. So yeah, so anything else you want to say about Trainspotting, apart from we all apparently enjoyed it and I remember it?
We all definitely enjoyed it.
I do enjoy it. I think it was a good film. I think it's a shocking film, but
I think it's an important.
I think it's good.
Watch. There's something as a message, which is a lot of things that films lack now. Films are spectacle now, and you've got to really go and look for films that tell you things, but also sometimes they just make you super duper sad and you don't want to watch them.
It's definitely like artsy and all, like if you think about it.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, it's like it's a good director working with a stellar cast, telling like a story that means something.
Is that no Danny Boyle's second film?
That would be second after Shallow Grave.
Aye, because I know it took him about I think it was 7 to 12 weeks to film all of that. Which is still impressive.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, again, this is back in the days when Film 4 had a studio. I don't know if they still make stuff, but when Film 4, they used to make these fucking tiny budget things, but they would find really good people. Like, they weren't fucking about. They weren't just grabbing random, like, this guy's going to be good, get him. And then they would make these kind of small stories that were just unreal. Like Shallow Grave's a hell of a fucking movie.
Seen it.
You not seen it? It's worth a watch.
Ewan McGregor's in it.
Yes, he is.
He's got real long hair, I don't know.
So, this was controversial, but I think Ewan McGregor's a better actor than Brad Pitt. Obviously, they're out sort of at the same sort of time, like Fight Club and whatnot.
I mean,
Brad Pitt.
It's controversial to say that Ewan McGregor's got more range than Brad Pitt. Brad Pitt has been successfully playing Brad Pitt for the last 40 years. Nothing wrong with that. I think him charming. But if Brad Pitt's in a role... What? You think Brad Pitt's...
Brad Pitt's done... He's done more genres than fucking Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor can fucking type.
Oh, I'm not accepting that. Name some good Brad Pitt genre movies.
Troy.
Action movie. Bullshit.
Oh my God! Again! I'm just going to sit here with a thumbs up. Is it just yours that it does it on? It must be.
Yeah, what noise?
Troy's
7?
action movies, so shut the fuck up. 7, I'll give you is good, and 7's Troy. Shut the fuck up.
Shut the fuck up. Ocean's 11.
He is more Brad Pitt than any other human being's ever been in that movie. They might as well said, Brad Pitt, come in this movie and be yourself. I thought you were going to say, like, 7 years in Tibet. I thought you were going to say, like, Meeting Joe Black. Like, movies where he's not playing Brad Pitt. But Jesus,
Meeting Joe Black was a good film.
Yeah.
Once Upon a Time.
What's that?
Once Upon a Time. Oh, that's the...
in Hollywood.
Never seen that one. Is it good?
It's alright.
I think a better way to say this would be like, you know how Adam Sandler plays himself in every movie he's in, just kind of shouty man? But then occasionally there's movies where he plays like really kind of sad people, and he's amazing at it, and you're like, Adam Sandler, why are you not just doing that? Like, that was so touching. I think Brad Pitt's like that. Brad Pitt looks in the mirror and goes, God damn it, I look like Brad Pitt. That's what a problem if I want to do anything else. Eh?
What about new Brad Pitt? Like, do you think he's better now than Ewan McGregor?
I think Ewan McGregor's had a bit of a renaissance, because Ewan McGregor dropped off the scene for a few years. Like, Ewan McGregor was pushing out some shite for a while there. It was only because what gave him his career resurgence again? There was something happened, and he was allowed to be a movie star again. But he's one of these guys that kind of dropped back. I don't know if he just made a lot of bad choices, or he was just like doing whatever the fuck he wanted. I mean, that's always a possibility that maybe he's like, well, actually, I've made loads of money off being in Star Wars, so now I can just do whatever the fuck I like.
Yeah.
I did like Brad Pitt in Bullet Train, but he is very much Brad Pitt in that movie.
It's a fun film.
It's a fun movie, yeah. It's worth a watch if you haven't seen it.
We've got about 10 minutes left.
We've kind of moved on from Trainspotting. So anyway, Trainspotting, we liked it. Logan's computer's the only one that gives a thumbs up. Hold on, I'll just give his...
Don't know why.
Where's my...
Why did you not do it for me? I want a thumbs up.
That was just me.
You man.
But Logan... I think it must be...
I don't know why not.
It only does it occasionally, though. What?
Thing do it in that time. It must be like for once you're in the chat and once you're out or something.
We'll just sit there with a thumbs up and see if we can get it to do it.
Okay, so Scott's got some suggestions with the Brad Pitt. Inglourious Basterds, I would say his Brad Pitt was like chewing tobacco in that movie. He's still Brad Pitt.
He's a dumb Brad Pitt.
Inception? Was he even in Inception?
He was in it. No, he wasn't in Inception, no.
I had to think there. You think
that was Leo. Aye.
Happy Feet. That was Ewan McGregor.
That was Ewan McGregor.
Was he? Was he Ewan McGregor in Happy Feet?
He was Happy Feet.
No, he wasn't. That was...
yeah, it was.
No, that was the Hobbit.
No, it was Happy Feet.
Fucking was Ewan McGregor was not in Happy Feet. Hugh Jackman was the dad, and Happy Feet was played by the wee dude for... it was played by Frodo Baggins.
Oh no, is he hanging about robots?
It was Robots. He was in Robots. That's a long time ago, though.
I love Robots. That's a great film.
True World was Brad Pitt. That's a bad movie, though.
Steve Irwin was in Happy Feet.
Who was that?
Steve Irwin.
Oh yeah, he played one of the walruses.
Oh, I don't know. That's mental. I need to rewatch that now.
It's so funny when we clearly look.
Steve Irwin.
And we're like, it's like, yeah, no, the viewers who we are also speaking to don't know that.
That's true, to be fair.
To be fair, Scott, they're kind of interchangeable at this point, so don't feel bad about getting Leo and Brad Pitt mixed up. At least Brad Pitt dates age-appropriate women, though.
Yeah.
And Brad Pitt also has 9 kids, which I think is just hilarious.
Which all hate him now.
Nah, I can't imagine that. If dad's Brad Pitt, there's no way anyone hates him.
No, but they all want to change. They want to get rid of the Pitt name.
That makes me
Distance recently, I did it. He did say that recently.
It makes me super sad. I like Brad Pitt. He seems like a nice man.
I'll blame it Angelina Jolie.
Angelina Jolie does seem like she's mental, so like...
No.
Anyway.
No wonder.
Anyway, friend of the podcast, Brad Pitt. We support you, and it's a shame you never stayed with Jennifer Aniston. I know she can't have kids because she's talked about that, and that's also sad.
You could always adopt, but...
You could have adopted, because we're clearly shown that Brad Pitt's quite open to adopting any child that he found when he was abroad. So, any kid that was left, like...
He's just a legal child snatcher. You're mine now!
Mr. Pitt, no, my mum's just over there. That's it. Just stay into this.
Sounds weird calling him Mr. Pitt.
It's because they knew, and the Pitt's like, look, Mr. Pitt's around. You've got to be careful. Like, if you see him, you've got to hang. Or they actually forcibly adopt you and take you to America to be a millionaire. And they're like, or I could stay here, or I could go and be Brad Pitt's kid. Tough one. Okay.
Tough decision right there. Oh no.
Anyway, that's good. Right. Well, as you said, we've only got a couple of minutes left. Logan, is there anything you want to touch on? Any bit of news that you want to touch on?
Oh yes.
No, yeah. We need to speak one other thing before. Well, speaking of Brad Pitt, Deadpool Wolverine.
Ooh.
But let's touch a little bit of that. Obviously, no spoilers.
Okay.
No spoilers. I've not seen it.
I don't really want to talk about it until Sally's seen it. It was good. It's enjoyable. I think it's a great send-off to a lot of Fox properties, and they know that. I think they tie it into the Marvel Universe in a sensible way. I'd say out of all the multiverse movies, it's the one I've enjoyed. It's up there with Spider-Man as the ones I would like. I would say those two films are on the same footing, at least for enjoyability. Like the cameos. I hate that the people call them cameos. So I don't think it's fair to call them cameos. Like, it's all to do with the movies. It fits correctly. It's not like, and look, we've got this guy for a scene. It's like, no, that guy's in 7 different, or like 3 or 4 different scenes, and it makes sense to the plot. It's not like, look who we've got. And when he does the multiverse of Logans, it is fantastic. I loved all the iterations of Logan, and it was all either comic book stuff or it was stuff you're like, fuck yeah, that'd be cool. I'll say the one that we talked about, Logan, that's not there, that we were both a bit disappointed in. I wanted to see the Daniel Radcliffe Wolverine. Because Daniel
that would have been cool.
Fucking jacked.
That would have been so cool.
Like, it is ridiculous how jacked that Harry Potter is. Like, holy fuck, Harry Potter, what are you doing? But he's just like, I
thought that would be the reason. Is like he's getting jacked for a Wolverine.
It made sense. I just can't believe, like, they must. I don't know if they didn't ask him. I don't know.
And everyone to call him Daddy.
But he is.
It may be a delete scene. You never know.
They even touched on some of the kind of interviews because they done this kind of whole joke where like Daniel Radcliffe could have been Wolverine, but Hugh Jackman couldn't have been Harry Potter, and it was Hugh Jackman trying to make a British accent, and he was. I don't know if he was just joking, but he was fucking. He became like more Australian the more he tried to do it, which was great. Also, they promoted the shit out of the Wolverine and Deadpool movie. Like, it was everywhere I looked online, and they'd be like, "They're in Korea. They've just came on. They're singing with a K-pop band, and now they're promoting the movie. Like, they're just everywhere. Like, they're in America, they're in the UK, they're in Korea. Like, what the fuck? Are they just like non-stop around the world, being like, everybody watch this movie?"
I think they done too much trailers. That was the thing I didn't like as much. There was too many trailers because they did spoil a certain character. Literally 2 days before the film was getting released, and all the comments like, "Oh, you shouldn't have kept this as a secret." And I was like, "Oh,
I maintain my trailers does me a massive favour with all movies, because trailers so often give away the game. I got one big spoiler before I seen the movie, and it was literally the title of an article, and it was Ryan Reynolds speaks to blank about appearing in this thing, and I'm like, well, there's only fucking one reason he spoke to that person, because why else would he be speaking to him in this news? I won't say, because obviously, Sally, you've not seen it yet, but like, it was a thing that happens in the movie. I'm like, oh, that was pretty fucking good. Oh, daddy like.
Lee.
I knew you'd appreciate that. Honestly, I'd highly recommend it. Can't believe it's got 8% on critic score on Rotten Tomatoes. I think it's got a 98.
I think it'll get higher.
Well, I think it dropped kind of a little bit, but like the critic score is lower than the viewer's score. But I did see one article. I think I told you about this. I read the first paragraph and I couldn't read anymore because I was so angry. And it was in, I think, The Independent, and it was the guy saying that this movie is basically the death of modern cinema. And I was like, you need to calm the fuck down. Like, it is a superhero movie with Deadpool. This is not ending cinema, you cunt. It's also going to hopefully make $1 billion. I don't know if it will now. It's made 600 million, but if it makes 800, 900, it's done well. Oh, side note, what's the biggest movie of the year so far? 1.5 billion. Sally, you've seen it.
1.5 billion already?
Billion at the box office.
Seen it.
2024.
I've seen it. What have I seen?
Inside Out.
Inside Out 2.
I
have seen it.
I know I've seen that.
Good film.
1.5 billion. Didn't see that in the news. Didn't see that in my feed anywhere. I just looked up. But that's like one.
Have you watched If yet?
Avon and the boys watched If. I did not watch If.
It's such a lovely film. I bawled my fucking eyes out at it.
It was a perfect send-off for Fox. Although God didn't have like great relationships with Fox with all the certain films they done. I mean, took them, how many years was it for them to actually get Hugh Jackman in a Gale suit? 20 years, I would say. 24 years.
The only time it was ever mentioned was in I think it might be mentioned in the Logan movie itself, not the yellow suit, but the costumes, and in the first X-Men movie when that was again like 99, I think, and everything was black leather, so it was all black leather outfits, and I was like, fucking stupid outfits, it's like, what do you want, yellow spandex? But like the suit looked fucking banging, man. Like that suit looked amazing. Like, and it was the right level of warring in that as well. Like it looked battered and done in, which I like. And like, you know, they obviously tailored it to Hugh Jackman, but it looked fantastic. And then when he pulled that,
I think you could tell.
Oh, is that a spoiler?
Oh, that's a spoiler.
Okay.
That's a spoiler.
When he
I wasn't listening, so it's fine. I had zoned out.
For like 5 minutes. I was like, that's a big Australian cock right there. There we go. Saved it, mate.
That's the only reason I want to go see it.
The suit, you could tell some scenes were CGI. Like that suit was CGI at certain scenes, and you could tell.
It had to be, yeah, because like the eyes move and stuff. You know, like suits' eyes don't move. But it's a great suit. It's also a great cosplay suit because I can see it. There'll be a lot of cosplayers doing that. I've already seen one.
It's gonna be a lot of Deadpool. There's gonna be a lot of Deadpools.
And the lady Deadpool isn't there because Blake Lively made an appearance apparently.
Blake Lively
overhyped it.
My
so sexy though. Like, how can you not enjoy that?
The boyfriend, Nathan Fillion. He voiced.
Oh yeah, he's in it. Yeah.
He voiced the disembodied Deadpool, which was cool. And what's his name? Matthew McConaughey as Cowboy Deadpool.
Nice.
God, that's not integral to the story. That's a voice you hear for 2 lines.
Yeah, but that's a variant.
Okay, that's not a spoiler. Like, you know the Deadpool.
Oh, shut up!
Not shite, Scott. Fuck you.
You Debbie Downer. Fuck off.
I'm interested to see where this leads into the Marvel Universe. But
I hope it doesn't.
To see the money it's made, something else is going to happen. See, until these things stop making money. The only issue I've got is I feel this movie was too expensive. Like, I don't think this should have been a $200 million movie. But
price of inflation nowadays, mate.
No, I can see your point, but see the locations, the shots, CGI, all that sort of stuff. Yeah, it's going to cost quite a lot of money.
I find that like the first 2 Deadpool movies, I think they've done for less than $100 million each. And they specifically, I did read an article that says that they actually tried to give him a higher budget. And he went, no, I don't want a bigger budget. If you give me a smaller budget, we've got to be really creative, and we can bring in creative people who can like think of good ways to go around things. Whereas if you just give me the money, someone will just say, just CGI it, and they'll just CGI it. Which I think it's good to give people like parameters to work within because it fosters creativity.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're like, here's all the money in the world, people are like, CGI it. Like, nah, do that. But again, you know, and I enjoyed it, and you know, chef's kiss. And when it's finally viewable, we'll talk about it in full.
Yeah.
Or just want to.
But on other note,
I should be seeing it next week.
With who though? Who you going to see it with?
Me, I'm doing it.
My boyfriend, Simeon.
He made it weird there because I said me and I said my boyfriend. But
yeah, my boyfriend Lee.
Just not, you know, in any sense of the word. Oh yeah, but I'm going to clip that.
What the fuck?
Yeah,
Anyway,
I'm
yes.
just trying
I'm lost.
What?
I've got to try and tie him in for the next episode, but he's fucking doing it. You fun?
He's there. Look, you can talk to him.
Yeah, but I was going to say in the chat, so the audience knew who's got to be our first guest, but he's all ruined it.
Well, I mean, it's not like it's not like we've got Hugh Jackman. We've got Sally's boyfriend. It's like, oh, what a get! Oh, we managed to get Sally's partner in. Fucking hell, it's like you getting the dug in or something. You know, it's like, oh well, who have we got nearby? Oh, here's Yvonne. She's our guest. Fucking hell.
What? We'll dig up Jimmy Savile. We'll have him in the guest. Is that better?
Oh, fucking hell.
That got dark, but I'm into it. Like, here we are live from Jimmy Savile's grave, digging him up. Now then. Up at his corpse. He'd love that.
I agree, it's the next best thing.
Start Deadpool it up. Insync.
See, had a good beginning as well, man. And see, that was another thing I've seen people complaining about. Like, they're saying that that Logan's death doesn't mean anything. I was like, yeah, it does. Also, if you've read comics,
Logan's
die
death?
and come back. Not this Logan.
Yeah,
New Logan.
Wolverine?
Logan J. Howlett. Or James J. Howlett's his actual name.
James J. Howlett.
Yeah, but yeah, people die in the comics all the time and then come back. Like, there's literally a comic book series called The Death of Wolverine, and he died and was out in the series for like 2 years, and he's back in it now. I think he's back in it 3 times, because he's like old man Wolverine, like woman Wolverine, and then like regular Wolverine. So, you know. Anyway, that's enough. Anything else we want to talk about?
So, you're going to say your news then?
Yeah, we're going to have a sexy man called Simeon. Well, I don't know if I said Simeon, like in GTA.
His name's not just Simon, to be honest, but...
What's the whole problem with that, eh?
You French or
You
something?
can do next week, can't you?
We're asking
Oh,
why
no,
you're so
no,
French,
no.
Simeon.
When do I do the next, 3 weeks again?
We'll try and go for the 3 weeks as we usually do.
Hang on. Because I'm up in Scotland, camping.
Oh, okay. I was going to say, unless you say you're without Wi-Fi, I'm not accepting this.
You're camping in Scotland?
Yeah, I'm literally wild camping. But it's okay, I don't leave to the week after. So, 15th.
Right.
That'll be the 15th.
Well, say that.
Oh, hang on. That's only 2 weeks. Yeah, see, 22nd won't work.
Right, well, we'll either do the 29th or the 15th, then what works? I'd say the 29th, because that gives
I'd still be in Scotland in the 29th.
What about the 15th? Uses an extra...
Yeah, if you want to do the 15th, I can do that.
15th?
I can do the 15th.
Okay, I'm back.
So, can you do the 15th? Hope he's still in the chat and say guys.
It's awesome.
You said
I don't know.
And I read it as Hocked. I know Sally likes that.
Okay.
So
You got a huck to on that day.
oh, no.
Okay, well, we'll say the 15th.
Dad didn't see
And we'll end it.
Okay, cool. So
And
Sammy will
end
be
it.
with us next week. Not next week, 2 weeks from today, the
Oh, we
15th.
mean-
I think we put these on YouTube, and I think we also put them on MakerTube. Minnie's been good at
Well,
MakerTube,
guys,
but... Go ahead.
I was going to say, we're going to try and see if I can get it on Spotify.
Nice.
But I'll laugh a man about that, don't worry about
It can't be that
that.
bad.
But YouTube and fucking whatever MakerTube is, must be the balance YouTube thing, whatever that is.
I think MakerTube's specifically for people that are content creators, like creatives. But to join it, you can't just make an account, you've got to request an account. And I was vaguely offended by that when I read it. I'm like, well, I have made content, but my stuff gets posted to the Sanity check table. So I'm like, but that's me. Like, I wrote all that stuff. So why do I have to
Scott, send me-
account?
Send me details of Spotify, please, privately.
Scott said we have a Spotify. To be fair, see, when we set up Sanity Check, we done everything, all the socials, and then just didn't use any of them. I used the Instagram.
And Sim wants to know what we're watching, but we're not actually watching anything, are we?
Your chat, mate. If you guys could have seen
films.
the Wolverine Deadpool movie by then, that'd be good. I'll have seen Inside Out.
Yeah, we should.
And then see if we'll just watch some shit and then just want to talk about it and just kind of keep it separate. But I mean, we'll talk about.
We didn't talk about the... Aye.
Didn't you talk about the what?
Boys, but I've not finished. I need to finish the last 3 episodes.
Yeah, I think Sim's watched The Boys, doesn't he? And Sally, you don't like The Boys, do you?
I can't get into it.
So-
And it's really shocking because I feel like it's right up my alley, but yeah, I really struggle with it.
I feel like Sims talked about it, so at least 3 of us can talk about it, and Sad can sit there going, I fucking hate this stupid show at the time. Or, you know.
No, I'll listen. I'll put my 2 pence in.
Okay.
Recommend it though.
I said a couple episodes. None of Sim. You got to go and watch season 1
sorry.
to season 4 in 2 weeks.
No.
It's only 32 episodes. Whatever. It's something we can talk about briefly. It's not a big deal. Alright, cool. Right. I don't know how to stop the recording, LBS guys, so I guess just go home. Right, I'm not doing it. Bye.